everyone, and welcome back to The Shortcut. I'm your host, Jack. Today, we are here with my friend and coworker, Megan Crawford, who is the content strategist, marketing strategist here at Kapwing, like myself. I focus more on video here at Kapwing. Megan focuses a lot more on the writing aspect, and together, we're really a dream team here at Kapwing's marketing team. So welcome, Megan.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. I do the editorial here at Kapwing, and Jack and I bounce ideas and content off each other all the time.
Yes, we have worked together now for, I guess, almost a couple years
Yeah.
probably now. And together we really pretty much front to back are producing a really large chunk of what Kapwing's marketing materials are. So I think I wanted to have Megan on today to talk about just an inside look, giving you guys an inside look at our B2B video marketing strategy and also just content strategy at large. Obviously, we have a big part in creating that strategy. We've done a lot of experimentation over the years. We've done a lot of changes. You know, we are a startup, so we have gone from certain strategies pivoting to others for different sort of eras of Kapwing. And so I thought you'd be a perfect person to have on today to talk about just our strategy, our content strategy at large.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks. I think there's a lot of talk, especially in B2B marketing, about the importance of video. And, we've definitely talked about that too a lot recently on this show. And we
Yeah.
really believe that video should play a significant role in every content team's strategy, and that, Greg and Jack have talked about it being the anchor medium for teams. And I've written about that over on our blog and some on our social media accounts as well. But what does that actually look like? So I think today we want to, instead of just sitting here and theorizing, offering some armchair analysis of what that is, we want to unpack our actual use of video. I mean, we're a video software company, so, we really do get in hands-on video, but what does that look like across all of our content marketing efforts? So, Jack, do you want to share a little bit about what we're going to cover today?
Yeah, completely. So I think ultimately, large overall, we're going to be giving you a look into, well, asking some questions up front about what is a video strategy. Is it even good to have one? Then we will move into just our content strategy and how video is a large portion of that, as Megan spoke to earlier, and as we've spoken to a lot on this show. We believe that video is a huge portion of what we should focus on our marketing team. And so it's sort of our anchor medium, and talking about how that fits into our larger content strategy. And then lastly, we will break down even further, like all the different types of video that we have under our content strategy. So, it's not just a YouTube tutorial every week. It's not just TikTok. It's not just this podcast. There's actually a lot of different videos that come out all the time across Kapwing's many various platforms, as well as even like personal accounts. And so, we'll be giving you a look into all that and how we think each of them sort of drives a different use and the different benefits we get or hope to get from each one of these. Because obviously, depending on where you're posting it, what you're posting, you're reaching different audiences and driving different sort of behavior. So we will talk about all that today. Obviously, while Megan and I are both content strategists here at Kapwing, we're also students of video ourselves. We are kind of just talking today about just what we've done so far, and hopefully you guys can learn a thing or two about us and through us for video. So today, let's get started. We're going to talk about, number one, answering the question of, do we really even have a strategy for video? I think this is an interesting thing to start with, but I think it's worth, considering at the beginning. Video obviously affects so many marketing efforts that a lot of companies, especially larger ones, um, cannot really claim to have a unified one video strategy. Video is so broad. As I was just talking about, there's a million different video initiatives, even here at Kapwing, which is, a somewhat smaller company. So at larger ones, you can imagine how convoluted that gets. And so sort of what we'll be talking about today is how video tends to show up as part of content strategy at large for marketing teams or for individuals. So yeah, I think for content teams, this question's kind of interesting. Content teams often decide on formats based on their overall strategy, their content strategy, which is itself informed by things unique to your business. So obviously it's going to be different for everyone, for the customers you like to serve. But you hear all the time people being like, oh, we need to be doing video. Everyone knows at this point, every marketer knows that they need to be doing more with video. Every company is like, how do we do more with video? How do we create a video strategy? You might get pressure from your managers or from, upper management being like, we aren't doing enough. But often I feel like this is actually too granular in a way. Creating a video strategy, if you haven't fit that into a larger content strategy, I think is setting you up, or a larger, broader marketing strategy is setting yourself up for failure. You need to be, you need to fit your video strategy into these larger strategies. Otherwise, they're not going to, work towards your overall marketing goals, which ultimately should be the goal for video.
I just to add on to that, I do think that there's a danger of just randomly creating video for the sake of like, video's so hot right now, everybody's doing video, all of these platforms are prioritizing video, we should be making video. But if you don't have anything to say in a video format, then that's just extra noise. It's not really, it's just random content, which we really try not to perpetuate, and we definitely don't recommend anybody else's team jump on that either.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. If you're not really putting in the effort to make the content actually useful or informative or entertaining, or, it depends for every different company. But if it's just bad video, it's not going to go anywhere. So I think we have to be precise in where we think this video will go, what we're saying in the video, is asking the question, is video even the best format to relay this thing, or this information that you're trying to relay, or could it be, is it better explained?
Could it be an email?
Yeah, exactly. Right? Like, if you're solving something, if you can solve a tutorial or something, or do a tutorial in 30 seconds, is a 5-minute long YouTube video the best way to do it? Like, maybe not. Maybe it's better to do with a TikTok video. It's all these different types of questions to ask, and that will inform your video strategy. Because of that, you can answer those questions now. Like, I think a lot of people think immediately, oh, we need to be on TikTok, right? But if you're, a software that's complex and you're trying to teach advanced concepts in your software to power users, like, that's not going to work. Probably.
Right.
If you can do it, awesome. But like, I think you need to be asking upfront, what is the content strategy? The content strategy or marketing strategy might tell you, okay, we need to improve how the understanding of users in the product. That's probably going to be a different type of video strategy than going viral and trying to attract people to the product for the first time.
Right. And that could absolutely still be a video, but maybe it lives on your website instead of on TikTok, right? Like, maybe that's a help center video that illustrates your help center articles to just kind of give people a better understanding of the product. So yeah, that's definitely huge, is what do you want to say and where do you want to say it? How does what you want to say inform where you want to say it and how you want to say it?
exactly. And so, disclaimer over. Now we'll talk a little bit more about our current strategies with video here at Kapwing in, our content and marketing strategy at large. So Kapwing, yeah, we don't really necessarily we don't go video strategy first. We use our marketing strategy at the beginning of each quarter. We come up with a marketing strategy. We all have actually goals that we work on together. And it's powered by content largely, which obviously heavily relies on and implies that there's going to be a big video strategy. That's, or make use of video. Obviously, Kapwing, if you know Kapwing, it's a video software for editing, for video creation. So obviously, like, video is going to be a huge part of our content strategy.
Right.
We also rely on, and Megan, you have probably more experience on this than I do. Maybe you can speak to. We rely on SEO. We also rely on tools pages, landing pages where people can just Google something. And we also have a lot of resources, articles, where, you are doing things like tutorials or trending pieces or data stories or things like that, but in a written format, rather than video.
Yeah. So I think our content strategy, that it's really the focus is on the ideas, and then where do we distribute those ideas and in what formats. But as Jack was saying, we do have a pretty heavy focus on SEO. SEO has been a huge growth engine for Kapwing from like the earliest days. It was how we got noticed, how we got seen on Google, and we still continue to put content out on our website to bring in organic traffic to our site and, solve user problems, but also answer questions and position ourselves as thought leaders in the space. So that's kind of been where we've been pivoting a little bit lately, is we feel like we have a really broad, deep resource library on how to do this, how to, the basics of getting started with video. We have a large video library on YouTube as well. We have our tools pages that take you right into the product. And now we kind of want to be answering larger, bigger picture questions like, what should your B2B video marketing strategy look like? So that has been kind of where we're headed next with our content strategy, and SEO, editorial, and video really go hand in hand. So we don't start with a video idea. We start with a narrative idea. Like, what do we want our users to believe about creating video, and how can we share our stance on that with them?
Yeah. I think to your point, we sort of have two different ways of capturing people online. So number one, with these SEO and tools landing pages, that's when people are already interested in doing something, right? Like, they're going on Google to find a tutorial on how to, use AI to make a video or whatever. And then we pop up. So they're already interested, and we're just there to capture that demand. Whereas with video, or even some of the articles that you write, like resources articles, we're also trying to, or separately trying to at the same time, create demand. So we're trying to convince people kind of that you should be creating more video, so that, not only are people just finding us when they already need us, but also like they look to us when in the future or now they decide that they need us, rather than like just capturing the people who already know that they need us. It's sort of kind of like influencing people ahead of time.
We're influencers is what we're saying.
We're kind of influencers. That's kind of right.
We're basically influencers.
It's kind of true. You're trying to, like, with this sort of content, especially other initiatives that we have, like founder brand content, where we help our CEO, both in writing and on video, share why she thinks video is so important, or the things that are interesting her in video, things like that. That helps us, like, I don't know, just get people that her network to sort of start thinking or be convinced about the things that we believe here at Kapwing, which is that video marketing can be huge. It's probably underutilized. Anyone can really be a video marketer these days with just a little bit of training and the right tools. And so that's sort of the other half of the equation, is like, it's not just capturing demand, it's also demand generation, which I think is what video and writing resources and blog posts are often most successful at.
I think video is a really excellent medium for that because of the reach it currently has. And, as a company that creates video editing and creation software and also makes a lot of video ourselves, we are really uniquely positioned to have these insights about what companies need in a video making software as well as like their own workflow. So there's kind of two reasons that we want to, it's not just we want everyone to have like same brain and think about video the same way as we do because we're like starting a video cult or something, although, smash subscribe.
What's wrong with that?
Join our cult. But we share these point of views because we know that they'll help content marketers be more successful with video. We're doing it ourselves. We are boots on the ground content marketers trying new things with video. And also because when your prospects share your opinions about the industry or the problem that you solve, they will more clearly see the value of your product. So you're priming them to be a better customer by getting them on the page with you before they even really know they have a problem.
Yeah, completely. Also, I think what's interesting about content is like it gets you in front of people first. They can start to, be have a first touch point with content without them even trying. With Google, oftentimes they're searching for an issue, and then obviously there's like a huge list of things that pop up, and they have a choice whether or not to view yours. But what's nice about content is actually oftentimes it's self-served to people. They don't really have a choice in a weird way. I mean, obviously they have a choice to click off and scroll next, but like on TikTok, it just sort of gets fed to you. And so it's a great way to get in front of people and sort of have them as a captive audience, if only for a second, but like that is an opportunity that I think you don't always get on, SEO or places like that. And then go ahead.
I was going to say it's a little bit harder to track, but that's why it's a numbers game, right? Like, that you're putting out enough content that people will see it on one of the video platforms where you're showing up. And if you're hitting the same message across all of those platforms, then that wherever someone hears about you first, they're getting the message that you've curated and that you want them to hear.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it is harder to track for sure. I think if you, experiment with content a bit and then decide like this is something that we want to go for, something that we do here at Kapwing that I think is great is that we, sort of do surveys or polls when people are using Kapwing. Every once in a while you get like, a random poll and it asks you where you found us from, or when you sign up rather, actually. And it'll tell you, it'll give you the option to say, podcast or LinkedIn or TikTok or whatever. And then that can really help you understand where everyone's actually coming, because usually when, people find your content, then they immediately go to Google. And we've talked about this before in past episodes, the dark social episode.
Yeah.
A lot of like attribution software just gives way too much credit to sort of last touch rather than really figuring out first touch, and gives that credit to Google. But, getting submitted feedback about where people find you can be really useful at this. And I think it's important to do that because, you don't want to be wasting your time making, a TikTok every day if no one's coming from that. So just something to note. Because views matter, brand, recognition, all of that, impressions, they're cool, but like if they're not making you money, like meh.
Right.
And then so I think we should talk a little bit about, all the things that we do with video um, here at Kapwing, all the different initiatives we have or have done, and how we work on them together. Um, so, yeah, let's start with that. Obviously, we can start with this podcast because, hello, we're here right now. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
what do you
I
what do
think,
you think of our podcast?
well, long-time listener, first-time guest, but no, I think, um, Jack, you and I have collaborated on video and editorial content in the past before we, you know, ramped up this podcast as well. Just, you would make a video and then I would turn it into a blog post, or I would write a blog post and you would turn it into a video. And I think in the past it was kind of a work smarter, not harder situation where it's like, okay, we each have, you know, a list of topics that we got to get out on the YouTube channel or on the blog. How can we help each other make this go faster instead of both of us doing the same work twice
Yeah.
separately? But recently we've been really focused more on like taking that key narrative, that big idea, unpacking it on one channel, and then breaking it down into all of the other channels. And I feel like that has been such a refresher to our workflow. I don't know how you feel.
Yeah, I think definitely. I think having one medium where you can really explore your ideas and sort of get feedback on them, and also get feedback from our own team is really useful. I think this podcast has been a really interesting. Obviously, this is kind of new for us, but I think what really it's been successful at so far is it's sort of been our anchor medium where, we are coming up with our own thought leadership of where, the narratives that we want to sell. This is sort of the first touch where the audience, makes touch with that. And we also get to use this as fodder for brainstorming more for text posts, even for other videos. Not only do I, of course, post clips from these episodes, but also it gives us the narratives for then me to create YouTube videos about, the same thing, but maybe instead of a 30-minute episode, I could deliver the same message maybe in 6 minutes.
Yeah.
Or sometimes even, a TikTok. You can atomize, like something we talk about a lot is atomizing content, which is a little bit different than straight up repurposing. Repurposing would be like me taking the recording of this and turning it into clips, which we do, but also atomizing, we come up with what we think is a really interesting point of view on video marketing, and then I just sort of re-record that in a different way for TikTok. So for instance, I've done this before. We came up with, for our episode on dark social, I believe it was, and then I made a TikTok about like, here are 3 things you don't understand, or like why 3 things that every marketer needs to know about dark social or something, and like package it in a different way, but the narrative is still there. So scripting becomes way easier. Or if you're doing it unscripted and want to make it more natural feel, what you're talking about. It also drives people to find your content if they then search it. So you're getting doubling up on that. You're now, if people buy into it, you're now a leader in a way of that concept. So I think this has been a really interesting way and then obviously it gives Megan a lot to write about.
Right. Yeah. On the flip side of that, I think Jack and Greg, and, sometimes we bring on guests, outside guests, also other people here at Kapwing, like I'm on this episode. I think we had Lauren on last week. So, it gives you a chance to talk through this idea, really unpack it in a less formal setting and kind of get down, like talk your way into what you actually believe or think about the topic, and then I can take the transcript and synthesize from the episode, what are the really key points here? What great insights did you guys talk yourselves to? And how can I share those in written format? And I'll share that as an article on our resources library. We'll share it as a takeaway post on social media. It goes out as an email. And then we're also driving traffic back to the YouTube post, YouTube post, the video,
YouTube video.
the podcast episode, by linking it in the emails and the resources articles. So just a little peek behind I was going to say DM screen, just a little peek behind the curtain at what we're like exactly how we're taking that content and breaking it down to reuse it in a different medium. So that's more of atomization than repurposing, right? Because it's the same idea, but it's being rethought and reskinned for a different platform and a different medium entirely.
Completely. Yeah. And I think atomizing, we do this a lot. I think, pretty much every time there is a new product announcement as well, I'll make a video about, here's how to use Magic Fill. But then usually instead of just taking that same clip from the video, I'll create a new clip just for TikTok with pretty much showing the same thing, but maybe with, higher entertainment value, or even as, for a reason as simple as like the screen recordings in my YouTube videos don't fit on a vertical screen. And like, I do think it's worth it to remake that, for short form. But it like makes it so much easier when you already have that other piece of content that's driving that.
Yeah, that's honestly such a good point. There's like so many pieces of content that you could just like crop them for a different platform, but it would not be a good piece of content anymore.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so sometimes actually taking the extra time to remake pieces of it is worth the effort. And I think when you have a more holistic view of your video strategy as part of a greater content strategy, it's so much easier to see that opportunity as an opportunity instead of like extra workload.
Yeah, completely. Not only that, I think it can work the other way too, where like if you are making, you have an idea for an experiment you want to do. So this is something we do frequently, or, once in a while, is that I'll have sort of an experiment idea, but I don't want to fully flesh it out and make it into like a 15-minute YouTube video. And so you can actually sort of start experimenting on social content first, make it for social, and then if it does well, then you can make a long form version. I'm thinking of like, we just added these really high quality AI voiceover text-to-speach voices. And I sort of did this really quick experiment where I had everyone send me a voice note who I worked with pretty much. And then one of the voices was AI, and I asked people to guess what it was. And I think that was a really good example of like, a pretty quick and easy experiment you can run for the audience. And then, maybe then people will go and see the larger video about our release that gives them like way more information about it. So it goes both ways. And yeah, lastly, I think the thing that we tag team on is the founder brand videos, which are our CEO. We pitch ideas for her to talk about certain things on video, on marketing, on B2B content, and sort of try to get her in front of our PQLs, our qualified leads, by making this video and written content where we sort of share her ideas on LinkedIn, which I think is an interesting collaboration between you and I.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the ideas that we talk about here on the podcast, we also try and, we talk through the ideas here, really get a feel for, our solid insight. And then we take it back to Julia and we say, like, how do you feel about this topic? Like, what are additional insights that you have about this? Obviously, she has a ton of experience in the industry, and, she is so in tune with our users, and she has her own network that she's constantly getting feedback from. So just giving these ideas extra reach, because Founder Brand is an incredible reach engine. LinkedIn, I don't know if anybody else has experimented with this, but it is absolutely insane how much extra reach a personal account on LinkedIn gets over a company page. Like we could spend hours and thousands of dollars creating the best content for our company page, and it would see like a quarter of a video that Julia made on her phone that like Jack added captions to. Like it's really that stark of a difference. So it just gives these ideas extra reach and also extra legs, because they don't have to just live in 1, 2, 3 places, right? Like you can continue to reuse them, talk about them again, and make sure that everyone is seeing and hearing them.
Yeah. And you never know how it's going to stick either. An idea that you feel might have legs might, go extra far in if you can explain it under a minute, or it might go further if you can explain it in 20 minutes and then make it really interesting. It really depends. And it's, all up the part of the video strategy and content marketing strategy at large is just figuring out the best way to present your ideas once you have them. So that's really what we're trying to do here.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing that we have really tried to capitalize on this year has just been, there shouldn't be any idea or content that like lives alone in one place only, right? Like even our product videos that maybe don't have a place on the resources library, those go on our tools pages. Like we are everywhere. Like we are taking these ideas and making sure that they are on every channel where we have a platform. So
and where it makes sense.
Right. So like, we're not embedding TikTok videos into our emails.
Yeah.
Maybe we should.
Yeah. So,
maybe we should try.
Yeah, but that's pretty much an inside look at our B2B video marketing strategy. In short, make sure that you are fitting your video strategy into your content strategy at large, or it might not make sense. Secondly, find your narratives, your key narratives with video, so that you can try to capture demand, so you can try to create demand, not just capture demand. When people are looking for you, and you want to seek people out where they're at and get them to believe what you're believing. And third, make a lot of stuff and figure out where is the best place for certain things. There's a million different ways to do video. Of course, you can try them all. That's fantastic. But, try a few and figure out what you think is working best for your company. Everyone has individual needs. And so hard to speak to that, but it's worth spending some time to just in content generally, I think.
And I think maybe one final bonus tip is just like work with really great creative people. Cross-functional marketing teams are the strongest, we get so many good ideas from each other. Even though, video and editorial are like feel different, they're not. They're just different mediums for getting out your content. So
Right. Completely. Well, thank you, Megan. Thanks for joining.
Thanks for having me.
This has been The Shortcut. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe to keep up with us. We're here every week, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.